2 years into the pandemic. 2 years! And the Hollywood release schedule is still very much in flux, which means it's time for an update on summer 2022, as I noted that a couple of movies have already moved out of the season, and we could lose even more, depending on how the first few movies out of the gate perform, and what new developments await us pandemic-wise. Hopefully none. Hopefully none. Speaking of few, I gotta tell you, summer 2022 is not very crowded, with, at least for now, very little counter-programming, which really changes the movie landscape. And that's not just due to the pandemic, but I think what the pandemic has, along with streaming services, have made Hollywood's new normal. Bob Iger, a free agent these days as he just left Disney, recently gave an interview where he predicted most moviegoers will be more selective about which movies they see in theaters. Duh. But no one in Hollywood is really willing to say this. So Bob Iger, now he can say it. And that, of course, means that studios will be more selective about which movies they release in theaters, as opposed to on their shiny new streaming services. I think we can see the writing on the wall already, and that's that big blockbusters will be going to the multiplex with less competition, so they make even more money, while dramas and other lower budget fare go to streaming as anything from 2 to even 8-hour movies, basically, as shows. Now, what will this do to the Oscars over the next few years? That is going to be very, very interesting. I think what you're going to see happen, I'll make some predictions of my own, is that prestige picks will be day and date releases going forward. So they still qualify for the Oscars, but that's so people watch them just at home, the only place they're clearly willing to. This worked very well this year already, or 2021, for Power of the Dog on Netflix and Being the Ricardos on Amazon. They barely played in theaters, yet they're two of the awards frontrunners this year. So I think that's going to be the way to go for those types of movies. Like, can you imagine if Disney had released its 2021 Fox fare day and date on Disney Plus or Hulu? I think it would have perhaps done much better. Now, this didn't work very well for In the Heights on HBO Max, with insiders saying that the tepid response in theaters was matched by a tepid response on the streaming service. But you never know. I think, you don't know, because I don't think nobody would pay to see Being the Ricardos in theaters, but a ton of people are watching it online. So I think that's definitely the way you're going to see Oscar flicks go, which is really going to change what the Oscars are about, because you're going to be celebrating movies that people aren't I don't know. People are getting bigger and bigger TVs, so I guess at some point everyone's going to have their own actual home movie theater, at every, it used to be something that was only reserved for people who worked in Hollywood, and, the 1%. But that's, I think, definitely changing as technology makes that more accessible. That's fascinating. Craziness. All right, so while you think about that and, put your thoughts and share those thoughts down below, let's go over the latest schedule for summer 2022. Now, Marvel once again kicks off the summer movie season as they have done since their very first film with Iron Man back in 2008. They've only missed 2 years, and then, of course, the pandemic when everybody took a break. But they'll be kicking it off this year with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, right? Which, of course, is hoping to be a No Way Home level event, or hopefully even bigger, as Marvel looks to take back their crown from pal Sony. They're like, oh, we're so glad you did so well. Why did we help them? So they want to come roaring back and, remind everybody in Hollywood who's boss. And now they have the release date to do it. You could make big money in March. Captain Marvel was a March release, and that was $1 billion picture, but this is an even better release date, obviously. Whereas No Way Home capitalized on what's become a huge corridor for Star Wars and Avatar movies and Jumanji and Aquaman and the like. All right, so anyway, 2 weeks after that, nobody wants to come out the week after a Marvel movie, but 2 weeks later, DC fires back with The League of Super Pets, although the trailer did look very funny, and animation has been one of the few bright spots at the multiplex during the pandemic. Then Downton Abbey, A New Era looks to counter-program here, as it just moved to this date, its second move, as it's trying to find a place where it feels it could successfully lure adult moviegoers back to theaters. I don't know. I smell a day and date release in this movie's future. If not, it'll be the death knell for everybody else. And they'll be like, that's what we have to do. Then for Memorial Day weekend, can Bob's Burgers pull a Simpsons with their very own movie? And can Disney run that PR campaign? I'm very interested to see that. And it's certainly, this is counter programming as well, actually, to Top Gun Maverick. Now the only Paramount Tom Cruise movie of the year, as Mission Impossible 7 and 8 just got pushed back yet again. Although not necessarily Tom Cruise's only major blockbuster this very month, could a possible Doctor Strange 2 appearance boost this film? Maybe Paramount, that's one of the reasons Paramount's like, we ain't moving that movie. We have coattails to ride. We'll see what happens. And those are the only two blockbusters, as I just said, not just for Tom Cruise, but for Hollywood for the entire month. That's highly unusual. But that's just the summer getting started. And I think Hollywood's still a little, apprehensive, because June already looks more competitive, and wait till we get to July. All right, so Warner Brothers has still reserved the first Friday of June for an event film, but so far hasn't booked anything there. Could they stick Shazam 2 in there? They've already screen tested it twice for audiences, public audiences. But, I don't know. I think with Universal's Jurassic World Dominion roaring into theaters the very next Friday, I don't know. I think Hollywood just might leave that as breathing room. First two Jurassic Worlds both cleared $1 billion, and this one sees the return of the original fan favorites. So it's going to be a big contender. It'll be at the Tyrannosaurus Rex of the summer movie schedule. I'm excited for that movie, boy. But Disney will face the T-Rex as they counter-program the very next weekend with Pixar's Lightyear, which is a Toy Story movie, and historically Toy Story movies have made lots of cash. Pixar's like, this one has to go to theaters, damn it. But I don't know. As I've been telling you, there is a twist here that I'm really curious to see how audiences react to it. I think that it's going to make it weird to ride the ride, the blaster Buzz Lightyear spin after that. I'm surprised no one brought that up in the story meeting, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how people react, and when exactly it hits Disney Plus. Will it be sooner rather than later? Because of the success of Toy Story movies, I think this will be a theaters-only release, but will it have a built-in window like Encanto, 30 days in theaters, and then a guaranteed hit to Disney Plus? I would consider that if I were Disney. But let's see what other shows they have debuting in that corridor. They might not need it to drive. But although they can't just, again, as we've been discussing, they can't just drive subscriptions with Star Wars and Marvel content. They need Disney fans to. But I don't know how people will feel about that twist on any platform. All right. So anyway. The weekend after that, Warner Brothers is still planning to release their Baz Luhrmann Elvis Presley movie. This has not moved. The one that stars Tom Hanks as his manager. And the teeny tiny teaser that they put out looked actually pretty compelling. It could be another Bohemian Rhapsody, perhaps. I wonder if Elvis music, I don't know. I'm not a big Elvis fan, but whenever I hear Elvis music, I'm like, yeah, he was the king. And, Cirque du Soleil had an Elvis show that in Vegas for a while. Is it still going? That I thought was pretty mad. I didn't even see it, but I did buy several of the songs off the soundtrack. All right, so anyway, I loved their Michael Jackson show. But anyway, well, what do we have here? Oh, some drama mid-June, right? As this weekend, Scott Derrickson fires back after he parted ways with them over creative differences for Doctor Strange 2. Well, he's got his own movie this summer. Ha! A high-concept horror movie, which I hear is quite good, starring Ethan Hawke for Universal and Jason Blum. Now, Jason Blum, who was shocked for Derrickson when he parted with Disney, he tweeted his dismay. Jason Blum helped put Derrickson on Marvel's radar in the first place with Sinister, which also starred Hawke, by the way. And Jason Blum is the one who revived Ethan Hawke's career through his horror movies. So this is these three dudes reuniting to fight back and take a stand. Although Ethan Hawke has joined the MCU. Et tu, Ethan? He's like, come on, man, resistance is futile. All right, so anyway, and then J-Lo's Shotgun Wedding is also sticking to its release date here. Although Universal, this isn't a Universal movie, but Universal has J-Lo's Valentine's Day movie, Marry Me, and that will be a day-and-date release in theaters and on Peacock. Then Hollywood must be confident the pandemic will be much better by July, because July is booked. Woo! With a blockbuster every weekend, even with the loss of Black Panther 2, which of course moved to November, and Indiana Jones 5, which moved to 2023. Minions: The Rise of Gru will finally hit theaters on the 4th of July. Never underestimate Illumination Entertainment. While Thor: Love and Thunder has been pushed off of its start the summer release date to right after the holiday weekend. It has no breathing room here, so Taika Waititi better deliver. And I suspect he will, but boy, he does not have the nice cushion that Doctor Strange 2 has. Because don't underestimate Sony's Bullet Train, which comes out the very next weekend, from John Wick and Deadpool 2's David Leitch. It's a high-speed, highly stylized action thriller based on a Japanese novel about a bunch of assassins on a Japanese bullet train, and it has an all-star cast headlined by Brad Pitt and Sandra Bullock. Wowza. Brad Pitt has never made a straight-up action movie, and Brad Pitt is riding a career high right now, so this could be very strong. I want a trailer. Boy, I can't wait to see this thing. Jordan, also, by the way, funny thing, David Leitch used to be Brad Pitt's stunt double, so that's why he did the Deadpool 2 cameo, so it's got a great behind-the-scenes story, too. Jordan Peele returns to the director's chair with Nope the weekend after, looking to recover from Candyman, although he did not, of course, not direct that movie, but I think he wants another hit at the level of box office-wise and critically and audience reaction-wise as Get Out. And then DC's Black Adam finishes out the month. The Rock has said that he will change the power structure in the DCEU. But can he change the power structure at the box office? That's what Warner Brothers and DC really need him to do. And if July is too crowded, August leaves some room for some of those movies to escape to, as this month is as empty as July is crowded. Paramount has a Spy Kids-esque movie with secret headquarters with Owen Wilson and Michael Pena, who we both love, but they're not the stars, so less exciting. It's kids, a bunch of kids who are the stars. Followed by Sony's action comedy, starring an action comedy from Sony starring Woody Harrelson, Kevin Hart, and Kaylee Cuoco, by the way, taking another run at movies. She was in a previous Kevin Hart film as well, after finding some success post Big Bang Theory on HBO Max. Quite a bit of success on HBO Max. She's actually, I would say, almost in some ways the face of HBO Max. Good for her. I really like Kaylee Cuoco. Then Idris Elba's Beast is also still set for this month, where he plays the father of two teenage girls hunted by a massive lion in South Africa. And also Sylvester Stallone's Samaritan is still here, another low-budget take on superheroes. Although the genre has been dissected at this point so many times, Samaritan better have some very clever things to say to stand out and be very well executed. And Sony's Screen Gems has The Bride Here Now, a modern female POV spin on the Dracula mythos, which the studio is hoping could potentially be a franchise. So what do you think could be the big summer hits of summer 22 now that you see the new schedule, right? And with streaming services stripping down what movies play at theaters, what do you think of what's left? What do you think is going to happen to the Oscars? Share. How would you fix this situation? It's interesting. I think the day and date is the way to go. All right, share those thoughts down below. Subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.